Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, Na'aseh v'natzliach. I'd like to welcome you to Ironside Lunch Learn. I'd like to give an honorable mention to our gracious host, Judah Mendel, to Ofer Mizrahi, that gives the use of the space as well. Also want to give an honorable mention to our good friend Dotan, who's here learning with us every single week. And a very, very special thank you to our new sponsor, Hummus Factory. If you guys want to take a look at this amazing spread over here. Delicious food, all sponsored by this amazing business right on Sterling Road by I-95. Be'ezrat Hashem, that business has a lot of atzlacha. They sell a lot of hummus, a lot of fito, that a lot of people know about them locally and beyond. It's a great establishment, great people, and now not only are they have a good product, but they're also supporting Torah. This week's parasha is Parashat Pinchas. Something very, very interesting. Before we can even begin to understand this week's parasha, we have to go back just a little bit to the end of last week's parasha. In last week's parasha, Bilam and Balak are trying to curse the Jews, destroy the Jews, annihilate the Jews. And all this is behind the scenes. All of this is going where the Jews are unbeknownst to it. By doing that, we saw how their whole plan got foiled, but at the end, and they weren't successful at doing any of their plans. However, at the end, Bilam gave a good advice. He says, the Jewish God hates zima. What's zima? Promiscuity. He hates promiscuity. He says, that's the only advice that I can give. There's one thing that I know about Hashem, which is that. And because he hates that, he gave him the advice that what he should do, he should send women from the Midianite women into the camp in order to seduce the Jewish men. And the story goes that they send old Midianiyot, old Midianite women, not too good looking, very, walking into the camp saying, hey, we got trinkets for sale, bracelets, necklaces. And the Jews, we love shopping. We're like, yeah, sure, let me see. Let me see your trinket, let me see your bracelet. So tell them, oh, by the way, if you like this is nothing. Not only that, they offered it to them at a very good price. They said, if you like this, I have more in my tent. Follow me, I'll show you, I have a big collection. They go to the tent. When they go to the tent, all of a sudden, it's not that old grandmother showing bracelets. It's this bombshell of a woman looking unbelievable, standing behind the counter. And as she's standing behind the counter, what does she say? She seduces the men. Eat with me, drink with me, have some wine. And things progress and progress, or should we say deteriorate and deteriorate to the point where they sleep with the women, and they even have avodah zara. What's avodah zara? Baal peor. What's the Baal peor? They gave him the food, they gave him the wine. Why? So they can defecate. And the avodah zara at that time, that idolatry at the time, was to defecate in front of that idol. And they were able to do it. So they had a very, very interesting advice that Bilam gave, and it worked. Now, last week's parasha, the climax was when Zimri ben Salu challenges Moshe Rabbeinu, and when he brings Kozbi Batsur. Kozbi Batsur, by the way, the Midrash tells us, she was the princess of Midian. Her father was the king. The king sent his own daughter and said, I want you to seduce the prince or the king of Am Yisrael, whoever the head guy is. So she goes into the camp and she says, who's the king over here? Who's in charge? Who's the head? So Zimri ben Salu says, I'm the head. I'm the head of my tribe. I'm the head of tribe Shimon. I'm just as important. I've been around for a very long time. And he convinces her to be with him. And not only that, they were doing it in a way that it was a big Chilul Hashem. Pinchas sees this. And he couldn't tolerate it. He couldn't see it. He takes a romach, which is a spear, and he skewers both of them through their private parts. And he lifts them up in the air, and he takes them out of the camp. And during that time, there was a group of 24,000 people all around him from the tribe of Shimon that all wanted to kill Pinchas. And what happened was a plague came and wiped out those 24,000 people. And that's how last week's parasha ends. Which leads us into this week's parasha, Parashat Pinchas. And the parasha begins as such. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe lamor. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aharon HaKohen השיב את חמתי מעל בני ישראל, בקנאו את קנאתי בתוכם, ולא חיליתי את בני ישראל בקנאתי. Hashem speaks to Moshe and says, Pinchas, the son of Elazar HaKohen, who is the son of Aharon HaKohen, he is the one that returned my wrath and my anger upon Am Yisrael, בקנאו את קנאתי, by being a zealot, by being jealous for my honor, or jealous for my Torah. ולא חיליתי את בני ישראל בקנאתי, and I did not destroy the Jews out of my wrath for them. Because if he didn't stop me, I would have kept going. That's just the first pasuk. The second pasuk. The third pasuk says, לכן אמור, הנני נותן לו את בריתי שלום. Therefore say, I am giving to him my covenant of peace. Now, this is very, very interesting. Just to give you some more background about this pasuk. This pasuk says, they say, why does it have to say that Pinchas, ben Elazar, ben Aharon, a Kohen? Why didn't you just say Pinchas, a Kohen? So you see that Moshe Rabbeinu was married to Yitro's daughter. Yitro's daughter, Yitro was a Kohen la'avodah zarah. He was the head priest for idolatry. You could say like the Pope. It was like the main guy. When Zimri ben Salu came to him, he tells him, is this woman kosher for me? He says to him, no, she's not Jewish. So Zimri tells him, well, what about you? Your wife is not Jewish. Your wife is the daughter of a Kohen Gadol le'avodah zarah. Even though that we know that Yitro converted and he went back, but even though he had a claim. So you should know that Aharon was also married to Pinchas's father, Elazar, was also married to one of Yitro's daughters. So Rashi tells us over there, he says, לפי שהיו השבטים מבזים אותו. He says that the tribes were embarrassing him. Why? Because they would say, הראיתם את בן פוטי, זה שפיתם אבי עמו הגלים לעבודת כוכבים והרג נשיא שבט מישראל. He says, did you see this guy? This guy that comes over here and kills one of our Jews? You know who he is? He is the son of a person who used to who used to worship avodah zarah. What's the hint over here? Meaning, you're now going and you're killing somebody, and you're killing another Jew. That must be the other side of you. That must be the side of Yitro. Because a real Jew doesn't kill another Jew. You're probably the son from the lineage of Yitro. Comes the pasuk and says, God says, no. Elazar, Pinchas, he's ben Elazar ben Aharon HaKohen. No, everything that he did is from the kosher side. From the side of his father and from the side of his grandfather, Aharon HaKohen. To disprove what they were saying in the camp. Now, says, so now that he's backing up Pinchas for his action, what did he do? It says, Heshiv et Hamati. He returned my wrath. Now, before we explain what's Heshiv et Hamati, we're going to zone in on those three words. You have to understand what's happening here behind the scenes. Pinchas, on face value, what we see over here, he went and he killed two people because they were having relations out in the open, and he couldn't stand them that they're doing this Chilul Hashem in public, right? Behind the scenes, what is he doing? he goes and he's praying to God, Hashem, stop the plague. Stop this plague that's right now in the Machaneh, that's in the camp right now, that it's killing people. Stop it right now. And he's praying for them, he's praying for them. Keep it in mind, these are 24,000 people that wanted to kill him. And this Pinchas, what is he doing? He's praying for them. On one side, strict judgment, you see him, he's strong, he's a zealot, he's standing up for the Torah and for what's right. On the flip side, even if a Jew is ready to come and kill him, he's praying for him. Unbelievable, the duality that he has. You see his honor for God in the Torah, and you also see his love for Am Yisrael. If you go to Sefer Tehillim, in the 106th Perek, it says over there, on the 30th, in Perek Kavav, Pasuk Lamed, this is David HaMelech, talks about this exact same moment. He says, Vayamod Pinchas vayfalel v'te'atzeh ha'magefa. David HaMelech talks about that in the middle of this plague, Pinchas stopped and he prayed for them in order to stop this plague that was coming upon the Jewish people. Because he did that, because he stood up for the Torah, because he stood up for God, and because he also prayed for the Jewish people, even though that they were in the wrong, Hashem rewards him. And he tells him, Nitan et beriti shalom. What's Nitan et beriti shalom? This is also another thing that we're going to zoom into a little bit to understand it. But you have to understand that Pinchas, hu Eliyahu. Chazal tell us that Pinchas HaKohen from this week's parasha is actually Eliyahu Hanavi. Pinchas never died. When he says, I gave him Briti Shalom, I gave my girlfriend into peace. What's in peace? When a person is in peace, there's no death. Pinchas, after 500 years of being alive, transitioned into the angel of Eliyahu Hanavi. Into the prophet, and later on the angel that we know. He got rewarded eternity. Now, there's a beautiful chidush over here. And he says, what does it mean, Heshiv et Hamati? What does it mean that he returned my wrath? So in Hebrew, the word Hamati, you can switch the letters around and read it as Chotmi. Heshiv et Chotmi. What's Chotmi? My signature. My Chatima. So, if you learn it out this way, you have to understand that the Jewish God, Hashem, can't stand Zima. There's one thing that a Jew must protect, it's his Brit Milah. Why? That's where Hashem made a covenant, a brit with us. He made a deal with us. His signature on the Jew is his Brit Milah. As a matter of fact, it's an ot. What's an ot? It's a sign. How do you know that somebody is a Jew? If you take off all the clothes and you take off all the jewelry and if you take off all the houses and all the cars and there's nothing and you want to see, how is he a Jew? Well, since the time of Abraham Avinu, there's been one way to know if you're a Jew or not. Brit Milah. Is he circumcised? Is he not circumcised? Now, you can see that over here, Zimri ben Salu, what did he sin with? His Brit Milah. Right? Which caused Hashem to get angered. So when we say Heshivet Chotmi, right? Heshivet Hamati, what happened? The ot, the Brit Milah, what caused the plague, and he was able to reverse it and bring the Chotmi to Hamati. We learned from here that there's a connection over here now with the Brit Milah, with Pinchas. How do we know? First of all, who's the first one to have a Brit Milah on 8 days? Do you know? It's Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak is the first person in history to have his Brit Milah on the 8th day. That's what we call the night before the Brit Milah. We call that night Brit Yitzchak.
26 goes into Yitzchak 8 times.
Interesting.
And that heard from Rabbi Mansour, and it goes into Yaakov 7 times, and the last one is
8.
the days of the last blessing, the last bracha.
So, I've heard that before. It's a very good gematria. Now, if you like gematriot, I'll give you another one. So they say Yitzchak, he's from the side of judgment. You know, his father was chesed, goodness, kindness, benevolence. His son, Yitzchak, was deed, strict judgment. And Yitzchak is the first one to get the Brit Milah in 8 days. Like we said right before the Brit Milah, the night before, we do a Brit Yitzchak. What's a Brit Yitzchak? We get 10 people in the house, and each one reads a Zohar for the success of the baby. That the Brit Milah will go fine, as well as the rest of the kid's life. Very, very important. It's a big seudah. Doesn't take much. The reading is about 15-20 minutes if you split it up, sometimes even less. But it's a beautiful thing to have a Brit Yitzchak before your son is born. Yitzchak has the same numerical value as Pinchas. They're both 208. So anytime that a gematria is equivalent, anytime that you have 208 and 208, there's a connection. Yitzchak, Brit Milah, Din. Pinchas, what did he do? Also dealt with the Brit Milah and also Din. But take it one step further. Pinchas hu Eliyahu. What do we know about Eliyahu Navi? We know that Eliyahu Navi comes to every Brit Milah, right? What's that big chair we have in shul? That's Kisei Eliyahu, right? When there's a Brit Milah, what do we have? A Kisei Eliyahu. Why? Because Eliyahu Navi has to come to every Brit Milah and has to witness it. And by the way, Eliyahu, what is the numerical value of Eliyahu? Aleph is 1, Lamed is 30, Yud is 10, Hey is 5, Vav is 6. Put it all together, 52. What's another word that has the number 52? Ben. Eliyahu equals Ben. What do you do with the boy? What do you do with the boy? You give him a Brit Milah. There's a big, big connection over here between Pinchas, Eliyahu, Yitzchak, the Od Brit Kodesh. This is more than we can even explain in this short lesson of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu valued the performance of Pinchas on that day. Kinai kinati. Heshiv et chamati. He returned my wrath. What was the wrath over? Over chotmi. Over my signature that I have of every person. Now, this is very interesting. Right after this happens, we have the counting of Am Yisrael, because over 200,000 people have perished with all these different plagues that have been going on in the past few parashiot. Moshe finally gets handed the news that he's not going to bring Am Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael, even though that we know from before, it's already been mentioned 4 or 5 different times how he already knew it, but here it's like almost like an official declaration of it. And Moshe makes a request. Moshe makes a request from Hashem to choose a new leader. Chazal tell us that Moshe was actually considering even his children. He was saying, look, they're my children, they're from my lineage, they've seen me as a leader, they've seen me in action. Not only that, there's certain specifications you need, certain requirements you need in order to be a leader. You have to be rich, you have to be smart, you have to be all these different things. And as kids, you could check off the box of every single one of those things. He thought that maybe his kids should take over. However, even though that you should know that the Midrashim bring that Moshe's children did not learn Torah. They weren't such scholarly Jews. They're good people. They were tzaddikim, but maybe they weren't like such scholarly Jews. They said that they weren't such Torah learners, which is ironic. Moshe Rabbeinu, your children, didn't come out on such a high level. Just goes to show you. Sometimes when you're serving the public, you know who suffers the most? The children. But that's for a different class. And Moshe Rabbeinu was thinking of his children, but I ask you a question. At this moment in time, in Parashat Pinchas, is there no better candidate than Pinchas to be the leader of Am Yisrael right now? Is there nobody better than Pinchas? I mean, he just got the most honorary, you can say, title from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Briti Shalom. He was strong with the people. He protected the Torah. He protected the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No two ways about it. Black and white. And not only that, he had a sensitive heart. He wanted to pray for the Jews behind the scenes so like that they saved him, even though when they were bad. He just got awarded to live for a lifetime. Isn't he a perfect candidate for the next leader of Am Yisrael? Why wasn't he chosen? Why wasn't Pinchas chosen as the next leader? He also comes from the proper family, proper lineage. Well, if you continue reading a little bit more in the parasha, he wasn't chosen. Somebody else was chosen. Who was chosen? If we go to Perek Tedvav, Pasuk Tedvav to Chaf, it says, I'll read this section to you. It says, Vaydaber Moshe l'Hashem lemor. Moshe was speaking to God. Yifkod Hashem Elokei haruchot lechol basar ish al ha'edah. It says, you Hashem, the master of all the souls, the one who knows all mankind, please appoint a person on this nation. Asher yitzeh lifnehem v'asher yavo lifnehem v'asher yotzihem v'asher yiviem v'lo tiyeh adat Hashem ketzon asher en lהם roeh. It says that he should take them out and bring him in and bring him out and bring him in, and let not the Jewish people be like a herd of sheep with no shepherd. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, and God tells Moshe, Kach lecha et Yoshua bin Nun, ish asher ruach bo, v'samachta et yadecha alav. Moshe tells Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe, appoint Yoshua bin Nun. He is the one who's got a ruach bo. He has a spirit within him, or a certain neshama. V'samachta et yadecha alav, and put your hands upon him and bestow on him the kedusha. So Yoshua ben Nun, it says over here, Ish asher ruach bo. In order to understand this section, we have to understand a few pieces to it. It says over here, Moshe speaks to God, and what does he tell him? He says, Hifkod Hashem Elohei haruchot. God, please appoint. You are the God of all the souls. Never anywhere else do we see this title, this connotation that we have for God, the King Elohei haruchot, the master of all the souls, master of all the neshamot. Why would Moshe Rabbeinu use this terminology right here, right now? So the explanation goes that when Moshe wanted the next leader, he says, Hashem, you are Elohei haruchot. You are the king of all the neshamot. And what do you know about the neshamot? That first of all, everyone has a soul, and each soul is very unique. How unique are we? We're so unique as the faces on our as the face on our as our faces. How many billions and billions of people are in this world? Does anybody look alike? I mean, we might be similar here, similar there, some similarities, but we're absolutely different, just like a fingerprint. He says, the same way that you created every single person to be unique and different in character, in attributes, in challenges, you are the master of the ruchot. The same, you know exactly what each person needs. And not only that, you're Ava Rahman, you're the merciful one. And not only that, you're Tov Metiv, you're good, and all that you do is good. You that knows every single person in this world and every single person that's part of this Eidah, you choose the right one for this group. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu was saying. God answers back. He says, Kach lecha et Yoshua bin Nun, ish asher ruach bo. So God says, okay, if that's what you want, then take Yoshua bin Nun. He's a person that has ruach bo. He has the spirit. He has the soul that understands. He has the soul that has that quality that you just requested of me. He says that Yoshua bin Nun had the quality of connecting. He had the quality of connecting to every individual according to their personality. Also, according to their vantage point that they have on life. You know, the way that each person sees the world is completely different. Completely different. You can have 10 people in a room looking at the exact same thing. Each person takes something away, something else from that event, from that situation, or even that moment. Every single person has a unique view of how he sees the world. One is positive, one is negative. The other one is evil. The other one is righteous. The other one is, happy for other people to succeed. Another person can't see another person succeed. There's so many different characters in the world that each single person has a different way of seeing life. And Yoshua bin Nun had the quality that he was able to connect to each one and see their unique personality and character traits. That not only did he had that opportunity, that he had that particular skill, but he was also able to give proper direction, which, by the way, that was always available to us, to our tzaddikim and to our shoftim. We always have had people, rabbis that we can go to for directions. Up until the time of Bet HaMikdash and the Nevi'im and the prophets, you could actually go to the local prophet and tell him, I'm lost, what should I do? And he would be able to look at you and scan you to the shoresh of your neshama, to the essence of who you are, and says, listen, you need to be a blacksmith, you need to be a shoemaker, you need to be a cook, you need to be a contractor, whatever it is. He would tell him exactly what it is. And he would go and he wouldn't be confused anymore. We lost that. We don't have that anymore. But Yoshua bin Nun had it. He was able to tolerate each one according to the way that they carry themselves. Furthermore, to elaborate on this point, when Moshe Rabbeinu was asking Hashem to take somebody that has a ruach, to take an ish asher ruach bo, he uses the analogy that he should take that he should be like a sheep herder. שתהיה עדת השם כצאן ואשר יוציאם ויחזירם. They should bring, it should be like a sheep herder. Before we get to the sheep herder part, actually there's another beautiful point. Can't forget this about Ish Asher Ruach Bo. Besides the fact that he had a unique personality and a unique ability, to connect to all the Jewish people, Moshe Rabbeinu gave Hoshea ben Nun a Yud. Hoshea ben Nun was his original name. Right before the story of the Meraglim, of the spies, Moshe Rabbeinu gave him an additional Yud. He says, you need to get a Yud. And to make a long midrash very, very short, that was the Yud from Sarai Imenu. Sarai Imenu previously was called Sarai. She had a Yud in her name. And Hashem took away that Yud and gave her a Hey. Sarai became Sarah. And Avram became Avraham. They both got a Hey in their name, and then they were able to procreate. They were able to bring children. That Yud that left Sarai was hanging in the air. And it says, Hashem, I used to belong to a righteous woman. Why am I hanging up in the air? There's not one letter in the Torah that's extra. I'm an extra letter in the Torah. What are you going to do with me? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, you know what you need? You know what you need, Hoshea ben Nun? You need the same character like Sarai. What was Sarai? Tough woman. Remember when she saw Ishmael, what she tell him? Out you go. You're not gonna spoil my son. My son is a tzaddik. You are a Rasha. Avodah Zarah. You and your mother, get out of the house. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, you know what? You're a big tzaddik, but you also need to have this yud inside of you. And he gave him that yud from Sarai. Why? Most of his days, Yoshua spent servicing Moshe Rabbeinu. He would service Moshe Rabbeinu. Whatever Moshe Rabbeinu needed, he was there. He would fix the chairs in the ohel. He would put away the books. He would sit by the side of ohel of Har Sinai, waiting for Moshe to come down. He would be on the side of ohel Moed, so like that. As soon as Moshe comes out, he'll be right there to help him out. He was his prized student. You have to not forget. And if you go a little bit further back to the past of Hoshea ben Nun, he wasn't a tzaddik. The whole story, if you remember, one time we did a class over here about Hoshea ben Nun. And we told the whole story of where he was before in the Midrash from Am Noez, of what happened with him, his parents, his mother, the fish. Look into that class. It was a beautiful, beautiful class. He's a Baal Tshuva. He's a person shechazar b'tshuva. He's the person that reached this level of righteousness. He worked on himself. He merited to this position. He got this position according to his merits and through to his life story. Furthermore, we had to stick that in regarding to understand how Yoshua ben Nun can actually get this lofty position as being the next leader of Am Yisrael. Now, the next part is that after Moshe requested that Am Yisrael have a roeh, they'll have a sheep herder for that son, like the flock of sheep that they are. Why would he use that terminology? Could have just said a leader. Why did he have to say that he should be like a sheep herder to a flock of sheep? Well, we know one thing about sheep herders. In our religion, it's a very, very lofty position. Who wasn't a sheep herder? Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, David. It's like the top. And not only that, they know how to keep all the flock together. Even if one strays, they know how to put him back. If one is running away, they'll run after him to get him. They know how to control the flock. And he says, you need that. You need that when you're a leader. That they care about losing an animal, that they care about keeping them all together. However, the Pasuk says, Pasuk Yud Zayin says something very, very interesting. It's just the nuances of each word is something incredible. It says, Asher yetzeh lifnehem ve'asher yavo lifnehem. He says that let this sheep herder be one that goes in front of them, right? Yetzeh lifnehem ve'asher yavo lifnehem. Then he'll come in front of them. If you've ever seen sheep herders, how do they herd the sheep? It's from the back, right? They always want to see from the back, where did the sheep go? They don't give their back to the flock. They look at it in the front. Why? To see if one runs away, they put him on the right track. Moshe Rabbeinu says, no. We don't want that type of leader. We don't want a leader that leads from the back. He says, we want a trailblazer. We want a leader that shows the way. We want a leader that shows from the front, that leads from the front. That's what they use the word over here, yotzeh. That goes out from the front before all of them. He says that's the type of leader you have to be with Am Yisrael. He says why? He says because you're leading now. Who are you leading? This is Anshe Ruchot. These are Anashim that have that neshama inside of them. So they say don't read it Anshe Ruchot, read it Anshe Cherut. What's Cherut? These are free people. These are people that are free. The Torah is freeing. In a little bit, where are they going to be? They're going to be in Am Yisrael, free. How are you going to lead a free person? You can't just come from the back and hit him and tell him, do like this, do like that. You have to show him the way. A free person chooses his way. So what do? You lead, you trailblaze, you show the way, and they will follow. Incredible advice. Incredible advice from Moshe Rabbeinu. All this was just an introduction to the main question of the class. This week's parasha, there's one main question. How do you choose a leader? This whole parasha shows you how to choose a leader. And let's see. How does God choose a leader? Well, we had a few candidates. We had Pinchas, right? The beginning of the parasha. He's tough on all the wrongdoers. He's ready to kill. He's ready to do whatever is necessary in order to do what? In order to stand up for Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But at the same time, he's got a sensitive heart where you can pray for the Jewish people behind the scenes to make what? To make sure that nobody dies, even if they're against him. That's great. He has a side of Din on the outside and Chesed on the inside. But no, that's not the qualities of a leader. Then we had a possibility of the children of Moshe, people that can inherit power, people that can just get the power because their father was in power. And we have that, monarchies, kingdoms. A guy just gets into power because his father was there before. He gets into power because it's his lineage. We have that still going on today. Saudi Arabia, England, Monaco. People are just born into a position. Says, no, that's not a leader. That's not a leader. Says, you know who's a leader? Yoshua bin Nun. Why? Because of his actions. Yoshua bin Nun got chosen as the leader of Am Yisrael because of his actions. What were his actions? His action was his efforts to improve. He was a Baal Tshuva. He's a person that was not there. And he changed all his ways and became there. To the point that what? That he merited to be the leader of Am Yisrael. His selflessness. He gave up his life for who? For Moshe Rabbeinu. He was the guy that was there early in the morning, late at night, waiting by the mountain. Whatever Moshe Rabbeinu was, he was right there as his prize student. Meshamesh et harav. He also had a lot of determination. Could you imagine what kind of a person you have to go be in that world, do the teshuvah, be Moshe's assistant, deal with the people? You have to be determined, not just trip into it. And he was given the position because of his transformation into that. His transformation through the Yud. His transformation for him being Ish Asher Ruach Bo. He had the qualities necessary for a leader. The ability to connect to each individual according to their personality. This is why Yoshua was chosen by God as the next leader. So if this is the lesson of this parasha, now let's take that lesson and apply it to our lives. Who are the leaders of our lives? Well, we have leaders at home, right? We have the mother and the father that are leading the home. The father has to make sure that the children are on the right track, make sure that the wife is on the right track. We're leaders of our own home. How do you lead your own home? Well, you have to say no, that if you have several kids, what you say to this one is not what you say to the other one. This one is very smart and very by the book, and you can talk to them sternly and they'll accept and they'll be good. The other one's so sensitive. If you say one word out of line, they shut down for a week. What do? Not only that, some people they put their biggest effort, they come home with a 65. The other kid doesn't even try that hard, comes home with a 90. What do you say? That 65, she worked so hard to get it. She worked so hard to get it. What are you going to shamble her because she didn't get a 90? No, you have to tell her, you made a great effort. I'm very proud of you. There's a way to deal with people, way to deal with children. Each child is its own world. That's why in the Haggadah we say, Echad Rasha, Ve'echad Tam, Ve'echad Chacham, Ve'echad Sheno Yoda Lishol. Why do you say Echad? Say that there's 4 children, and this is what they are. Why? Because each one is Echad. Each one is an individual. Each one has individuality. So know that. When you're a leader in the home, you have to know how to deal with the wife too. You know when you have to pick your battles. You have to know when to say the right thing, when to say the wrong thing, when to fight, when to go back, when to agree, when to disagree, and when to disagree, how to disagree properly. You have to be the leader of your home. We also have leaders at work. If you're running a company, there's a way to talk to the employees. There's a way to speak with co-workers. There's ways to speak with vendors. You have to know what's the right way. Leaders all have a certain sensibility that they have to use. Sometimes you can be stern, sometimes you can be soft. At the right time, at the right place. We also have leaders in our community. What about the rabbis that we have in our community? They're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of Jews that all come to them with their problems. And certain people, they can give stern advice, and this is what you have to do, the rabbi said. And the other ones, he gives them some kiruv advice, something soft, something, like a lituf, like a little pat, just to get them on the right track. You have to have sensitivity when you're leading a community. How about in government? Then we have our mayors, and we have our senators, and we have our president. And now you're talking about millions of people. What do you do then? What do you do about all these different sects? Well, the right leader knows how to make the right decisions for this populace. They're not always popular. There's always going to be people that are going to be unhappy with certain decisions, as we see today politically with our president. But it's very, very important, very, very important to be ish asher ruach bo, that you feel for each one's position on their claim. And then there's the greatest leader of all. Who's the greatest leader of all? Who's Elokei HaRuchot, the God of all the souls? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Creator. He is the master leader of the world, its inhabitants, and especially Am Yisrael. God created all the souls. He's Elokei HaRuchot. He knows each one exactly what they need. And not only that, we know that He's Tov U'Metiv. And we know that everything that Hashem does is for the best. So when something happens to a person and he doesn't have those Torah goggles on, he doesn't have those Torah glasses on, that he understands what's happening with his life. He has to only understand, but Hashem is Elokei HaRuchot. He knows what's good for me. He knows that what He's doing right now is exactly what I need in my life. He's the master leader. Especially if you're a Jew. Especially if you're not part of Am Yisrael. So Be'ezat Hashem, that we shall merit to have good leaders in our home, should have good leaders in our family, should have good leaders in our community, should have good leaders in our governments, in the different kingdoms of the world, and Be'ezat Hashem, that we have God as the leader of our lives. Be'ezat Hashem, Hashem varech otchem, sameach otchem. Once again, I want to give a very special thank you to our good friend Dotan. Be'emet, we can see your presence in the room. You made this happen. Give you a lot of bracha and atzlacha for you, your upcoming wedding, your future wife. Be'ezat Hashem, that soon, just like Pinchas who Eliyahu, Be'ezat Hashem will be at the Brit Milah of your son, and Eliyahu will come and visit us. Hashem varech otchem, sameach otchem.